Sunday. Don't close your baby blues till you check with Mike. No more wimpy sports for your Sunday night. It's Sports Plus. It rocks, it rolls, it sweats, it chokes. This sports show's gonna shake and bake you down to your bones. Batten down the hatches and move to higher ground. It's Mike Bush's Sports Plus. Hear the thunder, feel the power. It's boss sports like you've never seen them before. With a live man inside. It'll blow you away. Sports Plus. Sunday. Be there.
This is no Mama Boys sports show.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
We just heard probably the greatest promo in St. Louis television history, I think.
That promo was so old. That was pre-Frank Cusumano. That's how old that is.
Really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
I would say that was like 86, 87, something like that. Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was right after we started Sports Plus, and it kind of, I had to, people may not remember this, but our 10:30 show on Channel 5 was Love Connection. Remember Chuck Woolery, 2 and 2? And I had to go up to Bill Bolster's office. He was the general manager at the time, because a friend of mine, Fred Rogan, who used to be, or still is, the huge sportscaster in Los Angeles at KNBC, told me, you've got to have a Sunday night show. He says, you're not going to make any hay in any market unless you have a Sunday night show. So he told me that. So I went up and I basically begged him to give me a show on Sunday nights. And he said, okay, I'll give you 7 minutes, maybe 10, but then we're going right to Love Connection. Do you see these ratings for the Love Connection? You know how good these ratings are? And so we did it. It was just a little extra after the newscast, but people watched. And then it started getting bigger, and pretty soon we were an hour. So it took off pretty well. But I had to work for, 5 or 6, 7 years, 6 days a week, because he wouldn't let me off on Fridays.
Really?
Yeah, he wouldn't let me. He says, if you're going to do it, you got to still work Fridays. So, but, that's something you just have to do.
That sounded like a wrestling-inspired promo right there. Is that what you
Well, the voice of Chuck Connors, who was Channel 5's voice for many, many, many years, and he could do a lot of different things. If you go back and you listen to the old Sally Jesse Raphael and Jerry Springer and those, he was the voice of those folks, but he was also Channel 5's voice back then.
Live sports with a real live man inside is my favorite line from that.
Pretty risque, too.
Yeah.
Okay, a little throwback to open the show here.
Yeah.
The Sports Plus podcast, episode 2. So let's go to the big story around town. Obviously, last night, Frank, you were at the game. Blues moving on to the second round. What's your guys' main takeaways from the series? There's been so many times I think, here we go again. They're just gonna blow it again. But this Blues team looks a little different.
Yeah, I think the takeaway from the series and the takeaway from the second half of the season is, where's the weakness? Now, I'm not saying they're Gretzky's Oilers. I am saying that, for the first time in history, you got 3 defensemen with 10 or more goals. You have, the first time in history, I think you have 13 guys with 10 or more goals. You got 4 lines. You got an unbelievable goaltender. You got this coach that everybody respects the heck out of, who doesn't crack a smile. I mean, it's just, I'm looking, but it's almost like trying to find a flaw with Bo Derek. You just can't.
But there's a feeling. This is the thing. There's a feeling, and this is what happens. You remember Las Vegas's runs last year. Remember the L.A. Kings run when their goalie was he was quick. He could not. Nobody could beat him, and you just got the feeling that nobody's going to be able to beat them. You kind of have that feeling now. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, because we're in St. Louis.
Goes.
We're in St. Louis, and it's the Blues.
It's only been 52 years.
Yeah, and I know the history. But there is kind of a sense, a feeling that from where they were in last place this year, to get to this point, I've got that
Did you
feeling.
guys feel that way in '96? With this team before Yzerman and I guess Grant Fuhr got hurt, right?
It was a really good team, yeah. I mean, they had, let's face it, they had roster. They had a roster one year when they had Brett, Grant Fuhr, Al McInnes, Chris Pronger, and Wayne Gretzky. They had 5 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And yet, I almost have a better pulse for this team.
Yeah, because none of that, again, it's momentum, it's confidence.
And it's the goaltender.
And it's the goaltender. It's all those things that kind of...
a hot goalie can carry it the
really
whole way.
can.
I was thinking last night, because he did let up another goal late. Gretzky, I remember when we were doing a story on Grant Fuhr, would say that Grant will give up 3, but if we've scored 4, he's not going to give up the 4th. And I'm starting to get that feeling about him because his goals against average has not been unbelievable in the postseason, although it was the best in the regular season. I'm starting to believe that if the Blues are going to score 3, he's not going to give up 3.
Yeah.
He may give up 2, but he's kind of has that Fuhr, and I hate to compare a rookie to a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
but he's giving you that pulse for the last half of the season.
He's got ice in his veins.
So yeah, I was asking you this on the air on Channel 5. I was asking you, who would you rather play? Would you rather play Nashville, where you have this bitter rivalry and they're just down the road, or would you rather play Dallas? And we didn't have much success against Dallas.
Blues were 4-1 against Nashville, 1-3 against Dallas.
Yeah, for some reason I want to see the Nashville series.
So do I.
It'd just be great theater, 40-minute flight, 4-hour drive, and you've had success against them. But I don't think we are. I think Dallas is going to win the series.
Well, I think Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin just kill the Blues.
Yeah.
The Stars and the Sharks, and it used to be the Kings, you don't want to see them in the playoffs if you're the Blues. They just have their number, I think.
Jamie Benn will score, and then he'll beat you up, too.
Yeah.
He is really nasty.
He's one of those guys that you watch him play against the Blues and, I hate this guy, but I'm sure he's like the favorite player for all of them there. Okay, let's move on. The other big story this past week, Frank's kind of on this beat, the MLS announcement that they're going to be going to 30 teams right away. What do you think? How has your maybe thought process changed over this week since this announcement?
Well, I mean, you have to be almost euphoric about it because you were one of 2 teams fighting for 1 spot, and now they're adding 3. So, granted, we've botched a lot of things and had a lot of near misses, as Mike will attest with football and other things, but we can't screw this up. Not with the 2 families involved, not with Carolyn Kindle Betts and with Jim Cavanaugh.
What do you think the timeline looks like now?
Well, we're going to be 2022. Jim has always said they can't go any earlier.
Yeah.
San Jose probably could go 2021, but we'd be 2022.
Sacramento?
I mean, excuse me,
Sacramento.
Yeah. I have San Jose in my mind with hockey. But yeah, I think it's nothing but good news. And in fact, Jim Cavanaugh is going to be in our studio tomorrow at 2:30. And they've unveiled the plans of this state-of-the-art stadium.
It really looks, I mean, I got to see
cool.
the plans. It really looks amazing. It looks like a terrific facility. And this is one of those things, when you take a hit like we've taken, losing 2 football teams, you kind of look for a win. And now things are falling into place, and it looks like this is going to be a win for St. Louis. And I think that's what you can get excited about. This is going to be a win for St. Louis sports fans and hopefully for the entire city.
And what would you expect when you have enterprise and worldwide technology together?
Right.
You think you'd have a dump for a stadium? I mean, these 2 went to like 6 different stadiums themselves.
Yeah.
And got the best little features of every stadium. And when you have Enterprise and WWT together, you're building the Taj Mahal.
I think I saw the actual pitch is going to be like lower into the
Yes.
ground, and then you're kind of going to be around it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
And if it's supposed to still be across from Union Station, right, Frank? Isn't that this area?
Absolutely, yeah.
So they fix Union Station up with the aquarium. They got the MLS stadium right across from it.
And you know who the happiest person in the world is? The family that owns Maggie O'Brien.
Oh.
Because that place, it already does a good business.
Yeah.
Now it will be the most popular restaurant in the country.
So you guys over the years covering either the Steamers or STLFC. What do you think really the fan base is going to be like for MLS
Here's
team?
what's interesting. When I first got to St. Louis in 1985, the Blues were, a perennial a playoff team. They made the playoffs every year for many, many years. The Steamers at the old arena outdrew the Blues in those years.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Harry Arnest calling me, the owner of the Blues, calling me on the phone to promote the Blues. Don't forget, we're playing,
Could you do
the
a live
Boston
shot,
Bruins.
please?
Yeah, we're playing the Boston Bruins tonight, and but the Steamers would get 19,000 people in that place because they put on a show. It wasn't, I mean, indoor soccer was kind of fun anyway, but it was also a big show.
Yeah.
There was a good pregame, there was a good halftime, and there was a lot of local players on the team. So there is a great soccer base here, and I think it's going to be very successful. You don't need to get 60,000 people to see MLS to be successful.
Yeah, they're going to start with 22,000. And that is the one thing. I know we're a soccer crazy city. I just want it to be a success so much that boy, I just hope we can get 22,000 in there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in 2022, the spring, when you have a Cardinal game, a Blues playoff game, MLS soccer, who knows, maybe even the XFL,
It's not a bad night downtown.
Right.
Moving on to the Cardinals. Let's go back a little bit earlier in the week. I kind of dove into Christian Yelich's dominance of the Cardinals and brought up some other Cardinals killers over the years. First, Yelich. Yelich has 18 home runs and 19 RBIs in 7 games against the Cardinals this year. Have you guys ever seen anybody on
How many home runs?
Not 18.
eight home runs?
Okay,
Oh, did I say
yeah.
18? 8
Yeah.
home runs, 19 RBIs, and
Yeah.
it feels like 18.
Yeah, it does feel.
In just 7 games, he's hitting 500 against the Cardinals.
You know what bugs me? We should have had him. That's what bugs me. It bugs me.
We got the wrong Marlins.
We got.
after that.
I'm telling you, that's the guy. If they would have been a little bit more patient,
But
he
you
could have
can't-
been on the team.
You can't say Marcelo Ozuna is not entertaining
No.
out there climbing the fence. So,
Yeah.
He is,
And he's
but he probably isn't going to be here next
oh
year.
yeah, I agree.
And Yelich, had he performed like this for the Cardinals,
Now-
they would have. Now they probably
It's a
would
good
have.
point, because the guy going tomorrow, Jack Flaherty, would be on the Marlins right now.
That's
if he
yeah.
was trying to
that's
get
what they
him.
wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And you know what? I'm not saying that's the wrong thing. I'd rather have Christian Yelich than Jack Flaherty, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
But that would have been a lot to give up. at
that's
the time.
true.
Yeah, we still don't. We think we've got something special in Flaherty, and I do believe he's going to be something special, but we don't know for sure.
We know for sure.
And we know for sure about Yelich.
Yeah. So I kind of polled the newsroom, got some help from Andy Moeller, our sports producer, about guys that have just killed the Cardinals over the years. Aramis
Ramirez comes to mind.
that's-
Dave Parker jumped out
Dave
at me.
Parker, I had his stats right here. Dave Parker hit 314 in 190 games against the Cardinals. He hit 29 home runs, 126 RBIs
Oh my
for his
God.
career.
In how many games?
190.
Okay.
So more than a full season.
Yeah.
But
Isn't
Ryan,
it amazing how that happens? How some people just do so well against
Well,
certain. Like I mean,
Bud
I mean,
Norris against the Cardinals.
Bud Norris.
Yeah, right.
Any no-name lefty that somebody calls up
Right.
against the
Soft
Cardinals.
tossing.
Yeah, soft
Right.
tossing lefties kill him too. Ryan Howard, the hometown kid,
yeah.
has 23 home runs, 69 RBIs in 70 games against the Cardinals.
Yeah,
That's insane.
and it never works out where you get one of these players where they're a Cardinal killer, and then they come to the Cardinals, then nothing.
Well,
Norris was all right last
Berkman
year.
and Beltran are maybe the two outliers. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was looking at theirs. They
But I
killed
wonder
the
if their
Cardinals pretty good.
stats were much better against the Cardinals than they were everybody else, since they were so dynamic
Yeah, they were just
offensively
good
their
all
entire
over.
careers.
Yeah, none of these like random guys, like a Bud Norris.
Yeah.
So, how concerned are you guys about the rotation, especially maybe guys not going very long? Michaelis had a good start yesterday, but
Well,
another.
how about the stat they were like the fourth team in Major League history to go 19 games into a season and not have one starter go
Yeah.
7 innings? Now, Michaelis ended that yesterday with the 8 innings, but look, it's like we're talking 4 or 5 starts. Wainwright, if this is Wainwright, we have 3 good starts and 2 bad starts, I'll take it. And I think that Michaelis is figuring it out. Flaherty will be fine. Waka's the key. I think if Waka stayed healthy and was really good, that's a difference maker right there.
See, I mean, I was worried before the season started
About the
about
rotation?
the rotation because I mean, to me, what I would do right now is go get Dallas Keuchel.
Still out there.
I mean, he's still out there, and
Lefty.
and he's a lefty, and I think he's better than anybody else they can throw out there. To be quite honest, I mean, I mean, Michaelis and Flaherty. Okay, I'll take those 2. After that, it's a crapshoot.
yeah.
Well,
And nobody roots harder for Adam Wainwright than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope he wins 20 games. I root for him so hard, but I just don't think he's still got it.
He's already been better this year than I
Right.
thought we were going to see
And
him.
maybe Frank's right. Maybe it's 2 good starts and 1 bad. I'd take that too. But then what?
Yeah.
I mean, Waka, you can't count on his health. Dakota Hudson, I don't know what we've got there.
Well,
Reyes is going to make a start, or he did make a
started
start the other
yesterday,
day in the
3
minor
innings,
leagues.
3 innings. I think he had 1 hit.
But his arm strength's not going to be at the point where he's going to be a big contributor in the starting rotation. I think it's a lot of mediocrity and a lot of uncertainty, and I just really worry about it. And if they want to win, they could go get this guy, and they might win.
well, there's still Carlos Martinez to come, and that's granted that's
Yeah,
a big
but-
question mark, but he's
But everybody's talking
big
about him in the
question mark.
bullpen.
yeah. I did ask Bill DeWitt III about Dallas Keuchel, and the answer could not have been less
More no.
enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I think, I hate to say it, but I think what happened last year with Holland kind of has
Guy not
scarred
getting a
them.
full,
for sure.
full spring training. They're a little
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
But
blame
let's
him
see
on
what
that.
happens in July and see where they are and if there's somebody else who might be available. I mean, there is some history there where they go out and try to get somebody. I personally think they're going to need somebody by the time we get to the All-Star break.
Last thing here before we wrap up. Who's the one guy so far this year that's impressed you the most? Mine's Paul DeYoung. For more than anything, he's, I think, their most important offensive player because they don't have a backup shortstop, a true backup shortstop. So he's going to play every single game, and he's hitting third this year. He's hitting 326. In his last 7 games, he's hitting 345. So he's really taken it to another level, I think. And I think he's benefiting from guys like Goldschmidt and Ozuna behind him, and I think he's getting some more pitches to hit. Who sticks out to you guys?
I'd go the combination of Gant and Brebbia because, let's face it, we thought there were going to be some really big names in middle relief, whether it's Carlos and Reyes. That didn't work out. And these two have just been unhittable. John Gant, demoted from the starting rotation, has probably been their most valuable pitcher. So I'd go with those two as a combination.
Well, especially since Andrew Miller hasn't quite been what we thought we were going to see from him.
And that's
yet.
concerning as well. I'll put in a good word for Dexter Fowler because here's a guy who, is coming off a terrible season. And then you have the fans who absolutely just destroyed him over the winter. What are they doing with this guy? And he's come out and he's played very solid baseball, and I think he's got a good attitude. And, I'm not expecting him to light up the world, but I'm glad to see he's on the right track, and it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
I think a happy Dexter Fowler helps to make a happy clubhouse.
Yeah.
It would be nice if he's really productive and that right field develops into a platoon where Fowler hits from the left side and Jose hits from the right side. Because, look,
You got to put him in the lineup. Absolutely.
The more at-bats that guy gets, the better.
I agree.
Jose, yeah,
I
he
agree.
has
That guy
to.
just is a hitter.
Well, I'm sitting out there. I was sitting in the press box today looking out, and we got Ozuna, Fowler, and Martinez. And I thought,
Wow.
oh, God, hopefully nobody hits it out there. But I'll get as many at-bats from those guys right now as I can.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to be it for this episode of the KSDK Sports Plus podcast. Thanks for joining us, and come back next week.